A revelation from the last episode threatened to put a dampener on my mini vacation and possibly keep me awake all night. Today, I'm happy to say I have a friend in the house and I hope he can help me to help my friends. Hello and welcome on The Mindset. I am Yetunde Adenike.
On The Mindset with Yetunde Adenike.
Thank you for coming. I'm really glad you're here. So as I told you, the story I was telling you about, this lady, Laura, she has the AS genotype and her fiance also AS. They both want to have kids. What I want to know now is what happens when they have the children?
All right. Thank you very much, Yetunde. I'm glad that you're resting well, even though you need more. Okay, so when we have a situation where we have two individuals, whether they are already married or they intend to marry, but the genotype is not speaking to each other, both are SS genotype, the risk is high because definitely the child is going to come out with a sickle cell genotype. Now, if one was SS and one was AS, then there's the higher risk of having SS child than having AS child is 3 to 1 because that one's just like 25%. Yeah. So there's a 75% chances of having a sickle cell child and a 25% chance of having a AS child. So that's the likelihood. Now, if they are deciding to get married, well, I would say they need counseling.
Exactly.
They need a medical doctor to counsel them. They also need a sociologist, in a way, to also counsel them, because the risk is far-reaching and than what they could ever imagine. It is going to involve everybody that's close to them, because we are in Africa where we seem to have much knitted relationship than we even think we do. So whatever happens to you affects me in a way. So if you go through such issues with a child, it becomes even much more need for me to get involved one way or the other. So it's going to be a shared responsibility to the community beyond even the couple or the people who want to get married.
When it comes to matters of the heart, no matter how smart a person is, reason seems to take a vacation. So I am keeping my mind open that this thing can swing either way. She might choose to end the relationship or she might choose to go ahead with the relationship. So if she chooses to go ahead with the relationship, is there anything, that she can do? Let's assume she has confirmed that she's going to have a sickle cell baby. Is there anything she can do to, how do I put it, make the baby's life, easier when it's born?
I think I omitted something. So the first thing for them is that have they gone to actually check their genotype and confirm?
Yes.
So if that is the case, then the second question will now ensue, which is, now that you know, are you willing to take the full responsibility? But the responsibility goes beyond you. So if they decide to go ahead, then take us to the third question. What is the possibility of the child survival? Because we know all the different ailments and conditions of sickle cell with a child. Now, how the child survives depends on how well nourished the mother is.
Yeah, that's your field.
Yeah. Now, the question is, there is what we call first 1,000 days in child survival. The first 1,000 days starts from preconception. So the mother has not yet conceived. What is the nutritional status? How well nourished is the mother? Does she eat well? Does she eat balanced diet? Does she skip meals? Does she, take enough fluid? Does she exercise well? So a whole lot of things goes into what we call the preconception. Now, if a mother is able to eat well and has a good eating pattern, then the next one will be that now you have conceived, because the child is going to take from whatever the mother has. You don't give what you don't have.
And this one is for all mothers, irrespective of whether they're expecting
Irrespective. It's called first 1,000 days of a child's survival. Okay. Now, a child will survive because the mother was healthy before she got pregnant. If the mother was not healthy, nutritionally, she's not healthy. If she's malnourished before conception, the child is at risk already, because the deficiency that she has is what the child is going to draw from. So it then takes us into now conception. So the child is now conceived, as it were, and then the child is going to stay for 9 months in the womb before the child is given birth. Now, the mother needs to keep on a good nutrition. So that means that she has to eat, we call it different classes of food. The carbohydrates, the protein, the veggies, the fats and oils, water, a lot of fluid, exercise. It must be nutritionally balanced. Then the child then seems to have much nourishment from the mother as is being exchanged via the placenta. The mother's blood supplying those food to the child, the fetus in the belly. But if the mother was deficient, what do you expect her to be giving the unborn child, the fetus? Of course, there's going to be a lot of deficiencies in the child as well. Then, what the consequence of all this would also aggravate the health status of a sickle cell child. So it's going to be a double burden. One burden is that the child is sickle cell. The second burden is that the child is also malnourished. So then the consequences of not having good nutrition will give birth to different conditions. Marasmus, kwashiorkor. We have also what we call eating hunger. Eating hunger is where a child does not have sufficient necessary micronutrients in the right quantity they should be for the development of the child and its survival. So that goes beyond whether you give the child carb, or you give the child enough protein, or give the child enough fat and oil. Because what is responsible more for the child's well-being is how to process the carbs, the vegetable, and the veggies, the protein, and what have you. So the micronutrients are the most essential for the child's development. But that doesn't say that the child also should be deficient of the macronutrients. There's what we call macronutrients, there's what we call the micronutrients. The micronutrients are the very ones that the child needs more for survival. Now, when the child is born, the nutrition component of the child's survival still continues. Then the first thing first, a child is introduced to breast milk. No water from the very minute the child is born till the child is 6 months.
Yes.
No water, just breast milk. It provokes the child's immunity. And because part of the child's makeup of the immunity is coming from the parents immunity is already, it has a memory of the environment the mom and the dad has lived in. So the child is also born into the same environment. So there's recognition of the immunity. There are different things responsible for a child's immunity. They also, when the child receives enough of the mother's milk, it helps the child to build up the same immunity, because it's going to be in the same environment and have the same interaction of the environment with whatever the child does or eats. And then the body is able to fight back if there's any contrary thing coming in. But that doesn't say again that there could not be other conditions that could predispose the child to a real health challenge, but it will not be as a result of malnourishment. So that one will be something that the doctors will be able to advise based on whatever is the cause of such condition. Then once we leave that, then we move into the second stage of the child, where the child begins to receive complementary feeding. Now, complementary feeding, as you would know, requires the child being given soft food. Soft food. So they could come in the form of grains, but made soft. They could come in some of pap. But it should not just be ordinary pap. To be pap, it will have some milk. It will have crayfish that is grounded, some fish that is well grounded into powder so that it doesn't, pick the child in the throat. So we could have things like that the child. So what we also do is we make the carb, the protein, the veggies all into the complementary food. So that at any point in time, the child is having a complete diet. Then when we move from there, of course, the child begins to walk around, start crawling, and then it begins to grow and go into a toddler. And of course, you could add supplementary feeding to that. And so it goes on and on. Then the child is able to live on his own. Then, talking about the first 1,000 days, so it starts from preconception, conception, and on to 2 years. So if you calculate it, 365 times 2 is 7 something. So you had 9 months, you could see some. So what's the state of the child, mother before the preconception? But the conception to 2 years is 1,000 days. And that is the most significant stage for the child's survival. It's also the significant stage for the child's brain to be fully developed. Now, the child's brain is developed by what the child is fed. And when you see a child eager to go to school, have a good capacity to understand what the child is being taught, is coming from how the child was fed when the child was being conceived, birth, 1 to 2 years. A child with poor nutrition will not like going to school, will not have good grades. But beyond all this is that the child is going to be likely deficient into the future, because if the child does not have all that it takes for the brain to be fully developed, even if a child has a full developed brain and decides not to go to school, he will still make a good living because his brain is working. His brain is fully developed. The capacity to think, to go through challenges, to come out from challenges, to make things happen is there. But with a child that is not well nourished, so there is a deficit also already in the brain formation. So the child is slow, the child is intimidated easily. A lot of things happen because everything the brain controls also. So we call it that a good nutrition helps us to improve the GDP of a nation.